but also he failed from his arrogance. When you have a bunch of thieves around you and you don't put them in check because you're benefiting, let's not try to pretend like he's not benefiting from all the looting that is happening. Then we have your daughter walking around and lecturing other Kenyans like she is their prefect or their firstborn. You have your wives bringing washed out pastors from America and walking around in the world like they're supposed to be saving people from their own pockets. It is going to bring a problem. And then
the reason I'm saying the president is a victim of his own success is that he made these promises, very kind of grandiose promises about like social change and economic transformation that he was going to implement in Kenya during during his campaign, and then he's not done any of that. Instead, he's gone to sell Kenya to the highest bidder, to the IMF. He's taken our young Gen Zs to Haiti for a peacekeeping mission that has nothing to do with Kenya's security interests, but a cash sale. So all these things that he's kind of set himself up for have brought him to this week, this last couple of weeks, where people have discovered, wait, this guy is hoodwinking the public. He's not honest. He's not giving us the facts.
Mike, what have your thoughts been as all these things have been happening?
I think for the longest time while doing the show, we've always tried to champion, we've tried to push civic education.
Yes.
That has been, I think, our our clarion call. When the masses, when Wanjiku gets to understand the Constitution, gets to understand what their rights are, gets to understand and know that waheshimiwa who are now watumishi, that they are not waheshimiwas, they are watumishi.
Watumishi, yes.
Then and only then, I think we will make that turn. And we've made the turn.
So the turning point is here.
It is here.
Yeah, we've been talking about it for a long time.
Yeah, like Washeke has been saying, because remember, we've been saying we need to have civic education. People need to understand the Constitution. People need to understand the budgeting process. We talk about it even when we're addressing about the very fast, well, not the very fast, but the last, not the 2023-2024 finance bill. And the introduction of the taxes. We're like, okay, yes, what is the budgeting process? Housing levy. Yeah. So how do you go about it? And Jimmy Wanjigi, again, he was going out and educating people on the process,
step by step.
Because guess what? It is right there. It is for you to learn. It is part of the Constitution. It is part of, it's just governance.
Yes.
So the turning point arrived. As Washeke is saying, when you're in the Twitter spaces or when you're talking to people, people are now understanding what the Constitution is. Chapter 6,
yes,
recall, IEBC, the constituting the IEBC. Now you're understanding how e-game inachezwa. Certain bills, when Sifuna was talking about how there was something, EACC was talking about
the conflict of interest,
and they're like, no, we did not do that. This is what it says. What we did was we put this together, we made it make sense. Like, people are getting to understand that.
Yes.
And the turning point has come.
So the turning point has come.
Yes.
Quickly before we go back to our guest, Dr. Wangusi, King Edoyo here is saying, Dito Mika, they challenge outdated societal structures for sure. Now, Dr. Wangusi, I go back to you, and just to get a brief sense of what has now culminated in the dissolution of the cabinet and the resignation of the Inspector General of Police. Maybe take us through the last few weeks, from where this started to the culmination. And this is still an ongoing, it seems like it's an event, just when you think it's over, then something happens.
A new chapter.
Yeah, so you had started talking about it earlier. So just take us briefly through how it all started to where it got us here, especially for our non-Kenyan viewers who are listening to us.
Yeah, let me start by saying this, that the President, William Ruto, is a victim of his own success. He's also a victim of the Constitution. And what I mean by that is, if you look at the history of this president and how he's come up through the political ranks, he started as pretty much as a henchman on the Y2K.
Yeah. Mtu ya mkono.
Alikuwa mtu ya mkono, and he even says it himself.
Yeah.
He was a handler. He was a fixer. The Y2K legacy is very checkered.
And for the younger audience here who maybe don't understand what Y2K
for 24 years we were ruled by under a single party state called
YK. I think you meant
Kano.
YK
92. Young
not
Kano
Y2K.
92, yeah.
YK 92.
YK 92.
Youth for Kano 92.
Youth for Kano 92. But for 24 years we were ruled by under a one party state. A section of the constitution was amended that gave
Section 2A.
Section 2A, the famous Section 2A. So for 24 years we're under this rule. In 1992, the country was reopened for multi-party elections. Now, Youth for Kano 92
YK
was
92.
Youth for Kano 92 was an outfit that was formed by the ruling party at the time to get the young people out to vote and to be involved in the political process. What it quickly became was a militant wing of the ruling party that was sent actually after political dissidents or opposition. So they organized not just raids but also attacks on other political entities. And this guy came through the ranks as a fixer in that outfit. Fast forward to 2007, he's caught up in what nearly became a civil war in Kenya. And accounts of this are highly varied, but we know that he ended up at the ICC for his role in fomenting what was alleged ethnic cleansing in Kenya. And then he survived that, ended up in government, and then there's been scandal after scandal. One in particular that was very personal for me was the Langata Road Primary School protest. There was a protest called Occupy Playground, where apparently he was trying to get, they say it's a powerful government official, but he's the owner of this hotel, which was trying to annex a school playground, and kids protested. One of the things I saw at that protest, I happened to be very close to it because I lived close by. Other adults ran there, and I happened to be one of the people that ended up at that scene. But one of the things that I saw there, and I remember talking about this several times to people that I knew who were working in government, I saw a very informed and fierce generation of young people, of kids. So people at that time were pitting these children, but then they were very forceful, and they took back their playground from...
These are primary school kids.
Primary school kids. Yeah. Who are these people today? Those were the Gen Zs. They were a subset of who we are seeing occupying parliament today, right? So, back to this question about the social consciousness of this generation and the shared value systems about what is right and what is wrong and what is acceptable, what isn't, that other generations don't seem to, have. They don't have the same restrictions, the same fears. They don't even have the same fear that we have of the police. And we saw that behavior in full display during Occupy Parliament. The reason I'm saying the president is a victim of his own success is that he made these promises, very kind of grandiose promises about social change and economic transformation that he was going to implement in Kenya during his campaign. And then he's not done any of that. Instead, he's gone to sell Kenya to the highest bidder, to the IMF. He's taken our young Gen Zs to Haiti for a peacekeeping mission that has nothing to do with Kenya's security interests, but a cash sale. So all these things that he's kind of set himself up for have brought him to this last couple of weeks, where people have discovered, wait, this guy is hoodwinking the public. He's not honest. He's not giving us the facts. When he gives the numbers, he's kind of cooking them on the fly. He's a political showman. He's not there to speak on behalf of the people. He's speaking for his own interests. So I think the context I look at this is Ruto is just a victim of his own successes, but also a victim of the constitution, which we've just been talking about, where young people have actually picked up that book and looked at what it actually says. And I'll finish by saying this. The preamble of our constitution, the first couple of lines, the sovereignty is vested in the people. In other words, you need consent of the governed for you to actually set up a government. So he's only now realizing that he's subservient He's the second arm of government. The people are the first arm of government. I'll hand it back to you, Ali.
Yes, I mean this is quite interesting, the historical perspective you've given us, which I think a lot of people will benefit from, understanding, and even going back, because you started in Youth for Kanu 92, and he's called himself a hustler in 1997. When some of our listeners here were not born, he was already a member of parliament.
And in fact, he was my member of parliament in Eldoret North.
Eldoret North, yeah. He was able to defeat, I think it was Ruben Chesire.
Yes.
Yeah, who was the member of parliament before. Yeah, he was a very powerful guy.
Yeah.
He was Moi's person.
Yes, so he was Moi's person.
In fact, I think, I don't know this for a fact, but I think he was actually Moi's relative.
So
makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So I full disclosure, I went with the son to school, so I'll try not to talk about that
about which one, the son, kule Moi forces sorry.
No, don't worry about that. That's classified information. But but generally speaking, he was a member of parliament since 1997. Never lost an election, and that's the reason why sometimes you're told failure can be something very good. So he's never failed politically. He's always won all elections.
I was even going to say, he even broke the curse of the vice president. No vice president has made it to the presidency,
yes.
other than actually Moi, who
yes.
it was because of the death of Kenyatta.
Yeah, it was because of the death. No vice president has ever been elected
as the president.
Yeah. He's the first one to do it.
I was going to take you back, and then I remembered he came in and he was not. He was not sitting in power when he ascended.
Yes, he was not sitting in power, but
yes.
later on, of
Correct.
course, he got elected. He also got elected as president. But yeah, make up real quick. So that just bringing that historical perspective is, I think, very important to tie. And I think there's lessons also that we can also, historical lessons that the Gen Zs, the leaders of this revolution, can use, because at the time before YK92 was formed, there was Sabasaba, there was agitation for multipartism. The Gen Zs of that time were the ones who were out in the streets, and the odds at that time were much worse. They were far much worse than right now.
Yep.
Of course, right now we have the abductions going on, we have the killings, but at that time, if you're taken away, there was no social media,
no cameras,
no
CCTV,
there was
a phone that you can snap a picture.
Yes.
Maybe you might be able to even have your phone on record and send it out.
So things
to
were
FD or
much
something.
more dangerous, and what ended up diluting that revolution was now young people were brought into the fold in YK92. They were given a lot of money, and they were brought to of course to do the fix-it jobs, and also to neutralize, these are the young people,
peers,
who are coming out, and that's something that we have to be on the lookout for. On this revolution, those young people being bought, which is why I like the way this leaderless revolution is quickly dismissing people who have become traitors or have done something, against what their ideals are. Yes, because that's how people started getting bought one by one, and then all of a sudden things got diluted. Mika, you wanted to say something, then we're going to continue.
Actually, what I wanted to say is that another thing that actually really cooked the goose for this government is how the leaders were behaving. Most of these leaders, some of them is the first time holding legislative office. Majority of them, even if the first or the second time, majority of them are what you would say are new in the political game. It became quite hard, whereby there's this thing in social media right now. Everybody wants to perceive that they're living a soft life. Everybody is showing off, is doing whatever they're doing. Now, you see when a country is suffering and basic government necessities are being taken away, but then you see young leaders coming in and they're living a life of opulence whereby they're living. You see somebody coming in who's a politician, who's pays in the public. It's known how much it is, but that guy is balling more than an NFL player who's played in the NFL for more than 10 years. and who's signed a few $100 million contracts, then people start looking at you and wondering, where is this money coming from? You see a politician showing off 6 cars, a G-Wagon, a Range Rover, Rolls-Royce Phantom. Others have bought choppers that a politician always flies from. There's one who flies from Eldoret to Nairobi to come to Parliament and goes
every
back
day, yes,
with a personal chopper, right? And then people are looking at this and they're wondering, you're telling us there's no jobs to hire us. There's no money to hire us. There's no university fee to be paid. There is no healthcare fees to be paid. Linda Mama is being taken out of it. Then you want to tax us more. You want to tax even our little income that we're making in our own in our own different out of the way process of doing it. So it makes it easy. We can say that he failed from his successes, but also he failed from his arrogance. When you have a bunch of thieves around you and you don't put them in check because you're benefiting, let's not try to pretend like he's not benefiting from all the looting that is happening. Then we have your daughter walking around and lecturing other Kenyans like she is their prefect or their firstborn. You have your wives bringing washed out pastors from America and walking around in the world like they're supposed to be saving people from their own pockets. It is going to bring a problem, and then all you and the deputy seem to do is like you're fighting for who's gonna steal the bigger cake. It is gonna bring a problem. So I will say, yes, they won the elections, and they assume that since we've already won the elections, we run a country of stupid cowards and idiots, and let us just do whatever we want to do. What they forgot is that the same constitution, which they purport to be the one that is guiding them to work, and which I believe a lot of these legislators have not read it. They do not understand even what this constitution says, is the one that is putting them in check right now. And that is why you see every day they're trying to gaslight and talk to the protesters and tell them, oh, go back, let's have dialogue, let's do this. No, it's not time for dialogue. You had 2 years to show what you can do. You're not showing it. It was simple. They were told not to vote. If they would have not voted for that finance bill, we would not have been here. But their arrogance is what brought us here.
Okay.